Good morning, friends, and welcome to another installment of Learn With Me. I am your host, Christopher, and today we are starting episode 2 of our series, Calligraphy. Now you'll notice things are a little different. I have narrowed it down to just a parallel pen because the way it works and what it shows on the paper I found is best for teaching purposes. It gives you the most variety for thin and thick lines and makes it easier to see on the paper. And then the other thing I've done is I've changed out our layout to where we're using photocopies from our book. So we're going to be working out of pages 13 and 14 today. And to start off, we're just going to do our up and down strokes and quickly just go through that for decent warm-up practice. Just kind of get a feel for the pen again. And again, with the parallel pen, you can switch it in your hand to whatever you need to create either thicker or thinner lines. And we can go on the corner here if it'll allow us to. And again, it depends upon the paper that you're working with. Right now I'm using cardstock for our project. And sometimes on the corner it doesn't want to cooperate as much versus trying to do it flat. It likes that a little bit more. And then we'll do our downstroke here. And notice too how you hold it if you are using a chisel tip. Notice how the line will have a slight cant to it one way, or if you hold it all the way up here, very straight motion to it. Right now, all we're trying to do is the motion. Not really concerned too much about the angle. So if you like it one way or another, then I would suggest sticking to that, as that'll be what your version of calligraphy is. Okay, then we'll just do, making sure I'm not covered in ink. Just do quick ones here. This is honestly where the parallel pen excels. It almost just glides across the paper here. There we are. And we'll go to our downstroke and quickly do that here. And again, switching it up a little bit to be able to create that thicker line. And again, if you have one of these and you're going, the downstroke kind of sucks because I constantly have to rearrange my grip on it. Don't worry, it'll all change and make sense here once we get into our squiggles. Okay. So now we're going to be combining our upstroke and our downstroke into one fluid motion. So we will go, let's try thin here and thick. And again, one fluid motion, that's all we're trying to accomplish here. Just up and over, up and over. I had a viewer watch my video and go, why aren't we working out of the book? So I thought about that and went, that's a very great question. Why aren't we working out of the book? So this is why we are doing what we are doing now. And having the cardstock makes it, again, easier for working with a ton of ink and it bleeding, but also in case I mess up on anything, which is honestly often, I don't have a completely messed up book. I can just grab a blank piece of paper and we can start all over. And that's the great thing about calligraphy. If you mess up, no big deal. Just grab another piece of paper. All we're doing here is practicing. So we're going to do what we just did here in the opposite direction. We're going to do our downstroke and a quick upstroke. Down and up. And again, with calligraphy pen, especially one like this one, you're almost gonna push flat, and then when you come to the curve, you're just using the tip. Just a little bit of that. Feels weird, takes a while, but you'll get to the point where sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Went in the exact opposite direction here. But it'll be thick and then thin. Thick and then thin. And again, it will be easier if you're using something that's closer to a felt tip or a ballpoint versus a metal chisel tip, because when it wants to come down, it'll definitely want to grab. So if you're using a metal, it's also about learning pressure, how much you need to apply. But yeah, just down and up. Because again, decent amount of pressure on the downstroke, but just too light of a touch on the upstroke. But if that's what you're having happen, don't worry. All we have here is practice. Practice, practice, practice. It's not like we're trying to write a fancy letter to a king or anything. We're just practicing for the moment. Alright, and then we're going to combine them for more consistency. We're going to keep going here with wiggles and move this up here so you can see what I'm doing. And up and down and up and down and up. See how we get a little bit more consistent as we move along here. So up and down. And it's not a straight motion. We're not going up, down, up, down, up, down, up. We're actually adding a little bit of a curve to this to get more fluid line motion. There we go. Yeah, there we are. And again, what you're seeing here, this is not the end of it. It's not just like do 3 and we're done. Practice, practice, practice. That's what makes for great calligraphy. And surprisingly here, we are doing a straight down, straight up, straight back down. We're not picking up our pen, but we are doing a straight up and straight down motion. There we go. Just getting used to all forms of movement with the pen. We're going to move on to the next page here. We're going to start looking at pieces that look like letters. So let's try that O. Move that for now. And it depends upon where you start. I like to start light and then go heavy with our O, because I feel like when I start heavy, I just stay heavy. And sometimes you'll connect but you'll have a uniform line. Sometimes you won't connect, but it'll look decent. Again, practice, practice, practice. And remembering how to hold the pen, if you are using a parallel pen, to be able to create that thick versus thin line. Okay. That's the thing, if we try and do it on the tip, it just tends to stay really thin. But if we get it right, we almost get what we want here. And again, it looks like for me it's going to be a lot of practice. But not to worry, we will get there. Okay, and we will move on here to our L. Try that out. These are a lot more fun because it starts to feel like we're making more progress because we can physically see where we're going. With these guys, again, fluid motion, but also playing around with how quickly or how slowly we end up doing that line. So let's say we want to do it fast. So, fast motion, very, very slow motion. And notice if you hold it a bit longer, that edge tends to get a bit thicker versus the other, where with that quicker motion it's a thinner line and then thicker. So just paying attention to that and how you like to write, you'll get to see how you can create a thinner line or a thicker line. Again, practicing more consistency here. Just 3 L's in a row. The way this is laid out, it's a lot of reach for me. That's okay. Gives you practice in all parts. Alright, so we'll combine an L and an E, it looks like here. Ooh, we caught this one on the edge. Just finish it out here. And a little thin. Let's try another hold here. There we go. That looks a whole lot better. And again, in this workbook, she really likes to push it out, which I don't mind too much. It's just a lot for my reach here. And it seems to make, personally, my letters a little less consistent. But here we go. We're going to go back to some more squiggles. Again, getting used to that flow, thin and thick. And making sure it all stays in one continuous line. There we go. Move page up one more. And going from the underside up, down, up. And this is where you start to build your form and see, okay, this is where I have my faults. This is where I reach my limits, and where it starts to mold you into not just writing, but calligraphy. Case in point right here is this P. Now, to give reference for what I mean, the way I usually do a P is I end up having the tail out like this. But the way she does it with this version, grabbing the tail and just bringing it around. Making a tail and bringing it around. And again, with the parallel, finding the right angle to it to create both that thick and thin line in one continuous motion. Another thing you'll notice too as you're going through this is how you like your version of a letter. Like this I prefer. I like more of a condensed look, but it is all up to you. You start to form your own opinion and what you like best, and whether you want a tail or not, whether you like it thin or thick, or whether you like the way you used to do it. It's all in the way you learn. Alright, we're down to our last squiggle here. Looks like a J, but not technically because we don't have a dot here. But again, we're just practicing, getting an idea of our flow, how to create a thick or a thin line. And a feel of what we like. Oop. There we go. Just completing the practice. All right. And there we are. So, and an update or an aside, I think what we're going to end up doing is Thursdays for calligraphy. So if you want to tune in, I'm going to be doing it every Thursday morning. And for the other series, Tech Tuesdays, of course, it'll be every Tuesday. But there are squiggles. Next week, we're actually going to be focusing on letters. So practice, study hard, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.